Hey folks, Poster, welcome back to another Plumeria Masters video, and tonight your boy Guzma is dropping with Plumeria, and let's talk about it. So, first of all, I will be summoning on this banner, so tune in. While we summon on the banner, we'll be playing a bit of Pokemon Black before that. You know, hopefully get through the Elite Four tonight, but after that we will be summoning on this banner live, so tune in for that. So this banner is controversial, right? Here's the thing. There's a lot of things there is to talk about with this banner, right? So let's first go over the units. So the units, so supposedly it's going to be a Guzma and Plumeria on the exact same banner. Do we know the rates? No, we don't. We'll discuss the rates a bit more in detail in a minute. But let's go over the units first. So Guzma, insanely high physical attack stat, really good defensive stat as well, right? Speeds whatever, everything else is mediocre. Got pin missile attacks 2 to 5 times in a row. Physical 16 power maxes out at 19. Accuracy 95, cost 2. Dire hit, sharply raised user's critical rate. First impression comes in with a it's a quick move, 3 uses. Although it's only useful like the first time you use it, before you use any other moves, right? Because it fails if you use any other move since Guzma entered the battle. Beating him down, use a maximum of 3 slots of the user's move gauge based on the amount used. This move raises attack and defense by up to 4 stat ranks, right? And then so basically 4 gauges, and you're at +6 attack and defense, which is pretty insane. Your sync move, your boy's X Scissor, just a pretty standard sync move. Danger Dodger, passive, sharply raises user's evasiveness when the user's HP drops to half or below for the first time in a battle. So Guzma is, you know, without any dupes, he's not bad, right? He's a much better version of Sceptile in Bullet Seed mode, right? Which is apparently a lot of people don't think is good anymore. It's still a really decent physical option, but yeah. Sceptile's still great. Even Bullet Seed, right? And Golisopod's a better version of that just because it's much more defense and doesn't have to worry about move gauge as much as Bren does, even though, you know, very similar mechanics here. But due to one having a quick move, and also your move is like a 2-bar spam and in comparison, and then you do have some other things we'll talk about, which would make it not as bad, because he's coming with a sync grid along with Plumeria Salazzle, and at 1 out of 5, apparently I see some people like, here's the Guzma at 3 out of 5 is insane. You know, top 2, top 3 best. I don't even think top 3, definitely top 2 best strikers in the game. But at 1 out of 5, I see people saying that he's like bad or something, or mediocre. He's actually not bad at 1 out of 5. You get a pin missile move gauge refresh, right, which is huge, and then you get vigilance, which is one of the best defensive skills in the whole game, and then you have burst in, which, you know, could get a guaranteed crit on first impression, which, you know, first impression is kind of whatever. If you do have them at 3 out of 5, but if you're at 1 out of 5, you don't have a lot of other options. First impression with a guaranteed crit on first impression is actually not bad, right? So dude at 1 out of 5 is actually not terrible. It's not. He's really good at 1 out of 5. He's just not like absolutely insane at 1 out of 5. So moving on to Plumeria Salazzle. Plumeria Salazzle is just disappointing, honestly. It's like, look at this terrible special attack stat, and her moves: Smog, Martyr, good chance of leaving target poison, really low damage, 1 cost. Move gauge boost, pretty self-explanatory, 2 uses, +3 move gauge. Sludge Wave, very small chance of leaving the target poison, 3 gauge move, 97 to 116 max, 100% accuracy. Out of my way, raises user's special attack and speed by up to 3 stat ranks based on the amount of remaining of the user's move. Because this move is really good, by the way. But aside from that, our sync move, no additional effect, 250, 300, super duper effective 2, which is a good passive. Antitoxin, flame proof, not bad. But just overall, like, she's just really mediocre, honestly. She doesn't have crit. She's just like a Ethan, but I don't know. I would say she's probably a little bit better than Ethan, which is a really low bar. But I think she skids past that bar slightly. But yeah, at 1 out of 5, she's kind of disappointing. She also drops with a Synchrid, right? And folks would probably start to see the issue with this banner, right? But her Synchrid at 1 out of 5 is just, in comparison to Guzma, it's just like, what, right? Guzma is much better at 1 out of 5. She gets like almost nothing at 1 out of 5 in comparison to Guzma, which Guzma does get a lot of pretty critical skills, right? The best skill is not, you know, in 1 out of 5 for Guzma, but like for Plumeria, Harry is locked at 3 out of 5. Toxic Powers at 3 out of 5. Like after she gets like Harry 3, Toxic Power 3, she gets like what else? Smog Staggering, which is also locked behind 2 out of 5. When she gets a few of those in, and then she does get a few multipliers running, she's actually not terrible. She's actually pretty serviceable. But before that, she's just whatever, right? Yeah, and you know, again, 3 out of 5, she's decent, but 1 out of 5, she's just downright disappointing. So again, back to Golisopod. Golisopod, on the other hand, 3 out of 5 might be legitimately the best or second best, third best maybe unit in striker in the game. He just does so much freaking damage on Pin Missile. Like the dude's at 3 out of 5 with no quarter, which makes every single Pin Missile hit, right? So it's not like, oh, maybe 2, maybe 3, maybe 4, maybe 5. It's every single time it's 5, which is like absolutely insane. And they all have crit. They're all +6 attack. Like one 2-gauge move Pin Missile hits harder than a Lycanroc Stone Edge. What? Right? And then 2 move gauge regens on Pin Missile. Like it's just like no move gauge issues at all. Infinite like Pin Missile spam, which is again is stronger than a Lycanroc's Stone Edge, right? +6 +6 physical attack, +6 +6 defense, physical defense with already really high base defense. You also got like some other skills, like beat him down to barricade, which also raises special defense when the move is successful. Got first aid, which is first aid 4, which is one of the most, which is one of the strongest passives in Battle Villa, right? Vigilance, and a really good, probably the best defensive lucky skill in the game, which he has on his grid, right? And then Catastrophe powers up sync moves, like just so many good options, right? On his grid, like he's just absolutely insane at 3 out of 5. Again, 1 out of 5, not terrible. 2 out of 5, I guess I honestly 2 out of 5 difference with 1 out of 5 isn't that big. They're all like they're all not bad, but like he truly gets insane when you unlock no quarter at 3 out of 5. Also first aid, right, and all the pin missile power ups. But here's the issue I have with the banner. They're putting 2 new units. One of them, which is really good, the other is actually kind of mediocre, right? 2 new units, dropping them both with Synchrids. So you need 3 out of 5 to, I wouldn't say maximize their potential, but because maximize the potential, you need them 20 out of 25 out of 5. But to maximize their I guess Synchrid potential, right? You need them both 3 out of 5, which means 3 dupes each. That's 6 dupes total on a Spotlight Scout banner. Yikes. And again, we don't, I see a lot of people are assuming it's going to be 1% split, which we don't have any info on. Like, there's no confirmation, there's no absolute confirmation that it's going to be 1% on each banner. Obviously there is a likelihood of that, but there's just no confirmation. People spreading around 1% per unit is not, it's not confirmed. It's just not confirmed. But if it does turn out to be, it's 1% per unit on that banner, and you need to like pull 3 of each, if you do want to maximize them, that's really bad. And I just don't like, again, if that is the case, I have like nothing good to say about it. And it's again, some people assume that after I partner with DNA or whatever that I won't criticize their stuff. Like, what? Do you guys know who I am, right? But yeah, this is if that's how they're going to, create this, it's kind of terrible. Obviously, that's like not the only option they could go for, since there is precedent in raising the spotlight units on a banner to over combined 2%, right? They did it there during the Christmas banner, although it's not. Technically, was it called this? It was called Seasonal Scout, so it's like not like spotlight, but they did once raise the combined units, the spotlight units or the focus units or whatever, the featured units, to over 2% in during the Seasonal Scouts, the Christmas banners. It was 2 separate banners, which by the way, these are supposedly on one single banner, right? On that banner, it was 4.5% combined. Although, to be fair, it was 1.5% each, which in general you had a really good chance of pulling a featured unit, but the chance of pulling the new unit was 5% less. And I do see a lot of people making the same this mistake with Pokefair banners. A lot of people think, oh, Pokefair is like you get a much better chance of getting whatever the featured unit is. That's not true. Pokefairs have the exact same rate in terms of the featured unit as just regular Spotlight Scouts. Regular Spotlight Scouts that only feature 1 unit, right? But the advantage that Pokefairs has is it just have a extra 3% for like other non-featured units. So like for example, take the Alexam banner as an example and compare it to like a red banner. The chances of getting red and Charizard and Sabrina and Alexam are the exact same. What Pokefair has over the regular banners, you have an extra 3% chance of getting anything that's not red, any other 5-star that's not red. And also the feature unit is limited. It's a limited banner, right? So I do see people sometimes making this mistake, right? The featured unit rates are the same as the other things, right? But going back to the point, right? They could potentially bring the featured rate to over 2%, which they haven't like technically done on a Spotlight Scout before. Again, like I said before, they did for both seasonal banners, so that's 2 banners that they've done before, right? And I think I do remember like the first banner where there was like nothing featured, everything was like the same rates, like all the 5-star were like at 1.4% or something, right? So there's that as well. But if they do keep that at like 1% split, which I do, if I remember correctly, the Brendan and Lyra banner, that one was split 1% each, right? Which again, not good, right? But that's for old units. It's not as big as a deal in comparison with the old units to new units, because new units, everyone wants to get the new units on that banner. If you like split them, take away half their percentages and make them so that, again, you don't have to pull for 3 out of 5 for Guzma Golisopod. You kind of do for Salazzle, unless you're just pulling for her or Guzma for collection purposes, right? But yeah, it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be really tough for folks, for completionists or whatever, if they do want to pull on this banner. And this honestly just would be, again, if it does happen to be 1% split, it's just gonna be a pretty bad banner. Honestly, might be one of the worst banners with new units, right? Even could be even worse than I don't know if it was worse than the seasonal banner. You had really high rates for featured, so, and feature units weren't bad per se. You did have Brendan in there as well, which Brendan's back in the day and still is really good, right? Seabolt is that great though. But anyways, as for like again, generally these videos are should you summon, right? I do one for each banner. I think it's pretty clear for this one. If the rates are 2% for featured total, 1% each, I'm pretty sure the answer is no. If they make it like higher, if they make it like 2% each, which would be insanely high, that would be really, really good. Then there is potentially an argument for summoning it just because of how, like, insanely powerful Guzma Golisopod is, right? But then again, you do have to get it like 3 out of 5 to unlock his full potential on the sync grid, right? Even though at 1 out of 5 is not, he's still really, really good, but you would want him at 3 out of 5. But just in general, it's probably not worth it, honestly. Even if it's like 1.5% each, 3% featured rate, still not worth it because Plumeria is still in there, right? Unless like you're a Plumeria fan, then you want to go for which there are a lot of Plumeria fans. If you want to go and pull for Plumeria, go ahead, right? But I can't really stop you. But yeah, having new units be at like potentially 1%. No, I don't like it. I don't like it. It's pretty bad. Like, what are like rates for like regular units, right? Per like non-featured, it's like what 3% or something. You're basically just like around 3 times higher rates than any of the regular random units. That doesn't make it much. Doesn't make it feel featured. Doesn't make it feel like a spotlight or whatever, right? They're just bad. If they are 1%, right? Again, we're operating off of that assumption, which again could be completely untrue, right? But yeah, it depends on the rates. We'll know more once the banner drops. If the rates are like insanely high, then we'll rediscuss it. But at the moment, assuming this would be the same as the Brennan and Lyra banner, this is a no. This is no. Even if you are like a Guzma Golisopod fan, unless like you like both, then sure, go for it. But if you're like a fan of one and don't really care for the other one, right? Either you're like a Guzma or Golisopod fan or Plumeria Salazzle fan, just wait for better banners, honestly. Like, even if you do wait for Pokefairs, which, Pokefairs do have lower rates for them, right? It's just generally better, just because of the limited units, plus the slightly higher rates for all the other, just 5 stars in general. Even though, like, rates for Guzma and Plumeria will be much lower, but it's not like much lower than what could potentially be, which would be potentially 1%, right? It's not that much lower, right? So yeah, I wouldn't advise anyone to summon on these, even though this guy's like absolutely insane when you max him out, but it's just not worth the risk, I don't think. Also, Clement's coming soon, so if you guys want to save for Clement instead, which he's just on a regular single 2%, I would assume, banner, right? Which is better than this one, honestly. Even though Guzma's a better unit than Clement. Clement's not bad, though. But anyways, there you go. I personally will be summoning on it. If there's one banner that I don't want to get like absolute terrible luck on, it would be this one. I'm not ready to go bankrupt for pulling for Guzma. But we'll try to get both Guzma and Plumeria to 3 out of 5 tonight when the banner drops, so stay tuned for that. And also, again, we will be streaming some more Pokemon Black. Hopefully we could beat the game today, right before, we'll play it all the way until the banner drops, so that should be fun. Anyways, that's it for this one. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Like and enjoy this video, subscribe to the channel for some more Pokemon Masters content, and I'll see you guys tonight at the banner then.